Just concluded laterally small group session number 9 for cohort 1. Here are 3 summary interesting points that came out of it. 2 having to do with job search technique and 1 having to do with engineering leadership. I'll start with engineering leadership, and you can stay to the end for the job search tips. So engineering leadership crosses 2 job families, the individual contributor track and the people management track. And when we say an engineering leader, we're referring to the senior plus level on the individual contributor track. A senior on the individual contributor track is often the entry point for management on the people management track. There is an exception. Some companies have something called an M0, which is like a junior manager basically, but that's relatively rare. Will Larson wrote the book on staff engineering. That is the level above senior. I'll be covering that book on this channel, so follow the page and stay tuned if you're interested in senior plus level competencies, tasks, how to prepare for those jobs and so forth. And the question came up in the small group, can you go directly into management without having any technical experience? And the answer is you can, it's hard, and I don't recommend it. A couple of references here come from Google. So Project Aristotle and Project Oxygen are industry-leading studies of the competencies held by engineering managers. And the fact is that technical background is a significant improvement to your performance as an engineering manager. It's not the number 1 trait, soft skills are number 1, but it is a significant value add. You will find that if you can advance to the senior level as an IC, it's going to be much easier to get into management. Things like an MBA may help, but if you do that later after you've gotten your initial engineering job, you can have your employer pay for the MBA, at least most of the cost burden. And you can achieve that designation of senior in as little as 3 years if you work hard, follow a well-crafted career plan. Maybe you join a community of technical individuals, maybe you get a mentor, and maybe you follow the page, et cetera, et cetera. Now let's go over to the job search tips. These are going to be junior focused because the small group is primarily concerned with teaching people to code and landing that first programming job. Later this year, I will be doing an advanced small group, so leave a comment and follow the page if you would be interested in those senior plus level job search tips, skill development, social networking, and so on. Job search tip number 1, should you use an agency recruiter? And my answer is yes, but this is a good second move. I wouldn't do this as a first move. The reason I wouldn't do this as a first move is because I don't want you to undercut your own value. This is a common pitfall in the job search, is that job candidates will undercut their own value. And with the agency recruiter, they're going to take a portion of the compensation package, so you won't be able to maximize your compensation package going through an agency. When you select an agency, and I did this for my first full-time programming role, but when I did this, I was trading lower compensation for higher job security. And this is like job search security. So this is like higher odds of getting a job, right? Most people can't go directly to FANG, but you don't know whether you're most people. So you should do an experiment. You should try, evaluate your results, and pivot accordingly. You're not allowed to complain for 2 weeks. You don't even have your lagged conversion metrics for those first 2 weeks. So I would say reflect 2 to 4 weeks. And if you see the progress that you like, keep on with it. And if you see that you're not getting a job fast enough, now you can consider alternative strategies that are going to result in lower compensation, but they may accelerate your job placement rate. Working with an agency recruiter is top of mind among these. Another would just be accepting lower compensation outright. So there's many more job opportunities if you just consider those job postings where compensation is lower. And along with compensation, also lower prestige. So if you're targeting only tier 1 companies, it's going to be more competitive, smaller job post pool. But once you can start considering tier 2 companies, many more job opportunities open up, and they're actually less competitive. And you can basically trade lower compensation, lower prestige for higher placement rate. Question 2 on job search tips, do certifications help? The answer is yes, but not the average certification. So it's not like any certification is going to help you. A very, very simple mental model, and this is based on my research, like I've published on this. You can use a Fortune 50 certification. It's a really great oversimplified rule, but it's a great mental model. And what you're going for here is employer name recognition. Basically all the Fortune 50 companies in tech, your Microsoft, your Google, your Amazon, but not just FANG. There are some additional ones too. I can't remember if Oracle makes the top 50 or not. But basically these Fortune 50 companies are going to have employer name recognition. And that's what ends up triggering value added from the employer perspective on your resume and so forth. Does that make sense? Hope this helped. Thanks so much for being here. If you're interested in learning to code, or if you already code and you want to accelerate your career development, follow the page, drop a like, share it with a friend. Talk to you soon.